The Dance of the Dissident Daughter, 20th Anniversary Edition. A Woman's Journey from Christian Tradition to the Sacred Feminine. By Sue Monk Kidd. This book is read by Carrington Macduffie. This book is dedicated to my daughter, Anne, who is also my friend, and Betty and Terry, friends who became my sisters, with love and gratitude. Women will starve in silence until new stories are created which confer on them the power of naming themselves. Sarah Gilbert, Susan Guber. Introduction to the 20th Anniversary Edition. March 7th, 2016. When I realized The Dance of the Dissident Daughter was about to turn 20 years old, I pulled it off the shelf and read it again. Now and then, over the past 2 decades, I'd referred to various passages in the book, but the last time I'd actually read Dissident Daughter from beginning to end was shortly before its publication in 1996. Now, as I relived the 7-year journey described in these pages, I wished I could go back and speak to the 38-year-old who wrote that the bottom had fallen out of her womanhood. With her religion and spirituality colliding into feminism, and her realization of what she'd lost within patriarchy breaking through to her, she set out on a search that seemed unknown and terrifying, one she feared, rightly so, would blow open her safe, comfortable, circumscribed world. It was somehow easy to think of this younger self as her. She was me, but not me. Such is the mystery of aging, the way we outgrow our past selves, yet carry those selves inside of us. Rereading Dissident Daughter, I was struck by how vulnerable, uncertain, hesitant, and alone my younger self had felt as she struggled to wake up. I also appreciated how close she'd come to never taking the journey at all. In my novel, The Invention of Wings, my characters Sarah and Angelina Grimke, inspired by real 19th century abolitionists, fight for a woman's right to speak, not just in parlors to other women where they've been confined, but publicly in churches, lecture halls, and legislatures. They demand to have a voice in the world and are swiftly attacked, censured, excluded, silenced, and reviled. They don't know it, but they're about to light a fuse for women's rights in America. At the height of backlash against Sarah and Angelina, as they waffle on the threshold between retreat and courage, I have their friend Lucretia Mott send them a message containing 4 words: "Press on, my sisters." Of course, it was I who wanted to say these words to my characters, and even though my experience in Dissident Daughter cannot begin to compare to Sarah and Angelina's struggle, these were also the words I wished I could have said to my younger self. Press on. On a spring day in 1994, I copied a quote by Anais Nin on a card and propped it on my desk for inspiration. It said, "The role of the writer is not to say what we can all say, but what we are unable to say." So began The Dance of the Dissident Daughter. As I wrote, I often paused thinking, "Oh, I can't possibly say that," and then saying it anyway. When the book came out, it was to a little splurge of controversy. 20 years ago, misogyny within churches, denominations, and religious groups was often, in the words of scholar April de Konik, a holy misogyny. That is, it was sexism mandated by scripture, church doctrine, or divine decree. It can be terribly hard to change dictates that come from on high, especially when God is perceived as doing the dictating. The very idea of integrating feminine imagery and language into conceptions of the divine, and of confronting the exclusion, silence, and devaluation of women within religion, could easily create a firestorm. Since 1996, there has been an evolving feminine and feminist awareness within churches, and many progressive strides have been taken. But sadly, holy misogyny continues to this day in some traditions, now framed as a separate but equal policy reminiscent of segregation, causing me to wonder if religion might just be the last patriarchal stronghold. The Dance of the Dissident
Sample complete. Ready to continue?